On China's vow to fight to the bitter end as the world's two largest economies slapped fresh levies on each other today, moving closer to an all-out trade war. Beijing's retaliatory levies range from 10 to 15% on U.S. agricultural produce, including chicken, wheat, fruit and vegetables. This means some $21 billion worth of American agricultural and food products will be affected. China also adding a group of U.S. firms to its export control list on the grounds of national security. Washington's tariffs come at a vulnerable time for the Chinese economy, which has been struggling with both geopolitical and growth challenges. And for more, we're joined by Kate Fisher reporting live from Washington, D.C. Kate, of course, Chinese threats of tariffs, now they will come into effect next week, both the tariffs as well as curbs on some American companies. Could there be any reprieve from either side in this time?
It doesn't feel like it from the US side, certainly. This has already been such a rapid escalation of tariff impositions from US President Donald Trump compared to his first term in office. It's already, he's already shown the example with Mexico and Canada, who did get that 30-day reprieve. And he said simply there is no more time to fend off these tariffs and has gone straight on ahead with them, despite the fact that Canada's already retaliated on kind of very key US exports like Florida orange juice and bourbon whiskey. China's retaliation has been smaller, up to 15% on agricultural products, and that does show perhaps that it is trying to keep talks alive between the two nations. But Donald Trump appears so bombastic in his attitude towards tariffs, it's hard to see what room there is for manoeuvre as that deadline approaches. He's also suggested that he's now asked his Commerce Department to look at investigations into further industries where he could impose more tariffs, like semiconductors, copper, cars, and the pharmaceuticals industry. So certainly the rhetoric at the moment doesn't look like he's in the mood for negotiation or is about to stop anytime soon.
Okay, given the bombast you mentioned from President Trump, it was therefore surprising when we heard early last month his conceding that there might be some pain for the American consumer. So possibly some hurt there. And this is before these latest round of tariffs and counter-tariffs. Does Mr. Trump, President Trump, have any plan in place to mitigate even what he concedes might be harm to the American consumer?
He hasn't, if he does, he has not outlined that yet. You're right, he unusually for him perhaps admitted that one of his policies could harm Americans in some way, in that it is likely that they will feel a pinch in their pocket. Certainly, the Tax Foundation here has predicted that US households will on average lose $1,000 a year because as a result of these tariffs. And he is about to speak to the American people. He will be addressing them tonight here in Washington with his the annual speech that the president makes at this time of year from the US Capitol in front of lawmakers. And I think he's highly likely to talk about these tariffs, and he will try to tout them, hail them as a success. Of course, he campaigned during his campaign for president. He talked about his desire to impose these tariffs, and he's going to say, look, I've done it. But he will, I think, also need to acknowledge once again that it may be painful for some Americans, and perhaps he will suggest a way of trying to mitigate that impact. But certainly so far, he has not outlined that. But he will say that he is doing what he said he would do on the campaign trail.
Thanks, Kate Fisher, helping us keep track of the latest movements on tariffs, on what, from who, and on whom. Kate Fisher reporting live there from Washington, D.C.